make this rather snappy, won't you? I have some very heavy thinking to do before 10 o'clock.
Camera, and I will. Oh, there we go. No, it didn't. Hey, good morning, everybody. We're learning the new technology. We're a little late today. There was a super secret squirrel.
Terry couldn't figure the technology. It had nothing to do with me being late.
That's it.
And by the way, when I came here, I broke 0 traffic laws.
Yeah.
Sure you did. Yes. Okay. Yeah. I got a phone call, so we'll see. We'll deal with that later. We had to get you here, though.
Those cameras at the signals here in town don't work, do they?
We watched you on the phone. We watched you on the monitor coming in. We just need to get you a new rooster.
So anyway, welcome to Get It Right Texoma, and we have the Texoma trio. Of course, that's myself, Terry McAdams, Trey Sralla, and of course Mike Hendren. He is overseeing us, always will. He will correct us and let us know was our broadcast professional mentor.
That's right.
That's for me anyway.
Absolutely.
So we're live. Well, okay, maybe we're not live at 7:30 this morning, but that's supposed to be the way we do it. But in the future, we're going to be right here, 7:30, ready to go. And so we're here. And but anyway, so Trey, what do we got coming up?
Well, obviously we have a guest with us.
Right.
So a lot of times we'll roll in the show and then we'll bring our guest in. But since somebody was late, wink, wink, we're going to go ahead. We have Wichita Falls Mayor Tim Short. How are you doing?
I'm doing great this morning. Better than you.
Yeah, exactly. Now we're good to go.
It's okay. Catch your breath.
Yeah, appreciate you coming in.
You bet.
A lot of stuff going on in Wichita Falls. Mm-hmm. There's a real big thing that just happened here. We've got a new city manager.
We do.
Yeah, that was fast.
Have you met Jeff?
I have not met him. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It wasn't the nice thing. It wasn't super fast.
No, it wasn't super fast.
I appreciate the fact that you guys took your time. Yeah. You guys, the council, y'all took your time doing this because it wasn't a quick turnaround. It wasn't just promoting somebody from within. This was a big thing. So
8
tell
months.
us a little bit about it. Yeah.
So
it's a long time.
We took 8 months to get that, and we found our guy, and it was quite a process. That we went through. It took a while to get there. He's a hometown guy. Went to MSU, got all of his degrees there. He knows Wichita Falls. Got 20+ years experience in city government, assistant city managers, deputy city manager, etc. He was a city manager in Henrietta before, so I mean, and we took him from Taylor, Texas.
Well, let me tell you, if you know anything about Taylor, it is boomed.
Yes, it is.
So he has overseen. If he's been there for very long, he's overseen a massive growth there.
There's I'm going to get this number wrong, but I'm going to say it anyway because I'm sure nobody will fact check me. I think it's a $24 billion Samsung plant that's going into Taylor, Texas right now. He was heavily involved in that, in what's going on down there. Central Texas is really booming. They're doing everything they can, maybe to get out of Austin and to help that area. But he was very involved in that too. So a person that is customer service focused, that understands that we're not Chick-fil-A, but we want to be. Thank you for calling the city of Wichita Falls. How can we help you? Mm-hmm. I know. We're not there yet, but we're working on it. Somebody who understands that, somebody who understands who we work for, somebody who is growth minded and who, is fiscally responsible. He calls himself a storyteller, which I appreciate. You guys will appreciate as well. He tells stories with his answers. And, is very relational. So, hey, this is his 3rd week, 4th or 5th day. So I think he's still running around. He's not drinking from a fire hose. He's driving down the highway trying to change a tire.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
he's trying to find the bathroom so far.
He is.
Yeah,
God love him. But the one good thing, there's several good things, but one of the best is that he knows his way around town already. Yeah. I mean, he's lived here. We don't have to explain where
Southwest Parkway
Scott Street is. We don't have to. He knows where Eddie Hill's Fun Cycles is. So we don't have to explain, what's going on at MSU. He's so thrilled to be back and to be involved at that. you know, so that's that part of the learning curve is not here.
Yeah, it's funny because I had to explain this to a new superintendent that came to town. When you're from Wichita Falls, if you say Southwest, nobody knows where you're talking about. You say Southwest Parkway. Now, most roads, you don't say that. You'll say Scott or Scott Street or Wichita or whatever like that. But Southwest, if you don't say Parkway, nobody knows where you're talking about.
Right.
And about the third or fourth time I heard that superintendent say, it's over by Southwest. I said, you got to say Parkway.
Please.
I said, otherwise nobody's going to know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And those are the kind of things that it makes sense, and you have to be here a little while to learn.
Yep.
Yeah, he's so he's got that part down. We we just started the budget, you know, for next year.
Well, he jumped in at budget time, didn't he? Yeah.
He hit it at the perfect time.
Wow.
And you know, he's a numbers guy too. So we've had some great discussions. He's I'm really looking forward to it. I told him, you know, look, no pressure, be great.
There you go.
You know, so that was my message.
Not good.
And, yeah, be great.
Yeah.
You know, this train is leaving the station, and let's be on it. It's wonderful to be in a position with not only with Jeff, with staff, with a lot of the city that we're all finally pulling the rope in the same direction, and boy, it's a good feeling. You know, to do that. So yeah, looking forward to it, and you'll have to have him on.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
And he'll do it.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, cool.
So that's another thing.
No, we'll definitely do that. We'll get him. I'm maybe Steve. I wanted to give him a little time. I didn't want to call him first day. Go, hey, by the way, I know you don't know who the hell we are.
Yeah.
But so we'll get him on shortly.
Sure.
So what is you? I know there's things you could talk about, things you don't talk about. It's not personnel, but on the general outside, what are the first top couple mandates that you guys gave him from an overall perspective? Not a because as a group, you know, what people just real quick update on the way this the Wichita Falls city government runs, and a lot of city governments are like this. Mayor Tim Short is the mayor of Wichita Falls, but he doesn't run the city.
No.
You know, he's part of a council.
Right.
He runs the meetings.
Right.
He's the head of the council, but he's part of a council. And the city manager does not work for Tim Short, and he does not work for Councilman so and so. He works for the council as a group.
Right.
So he's the CEO, if you would,
Right.
the boss of the city, but the council is his board.
Yeah.
And so as the board, you don't set individual mandates more, you set policy. So
Right.
what are the top couple policies that are directions that you're saying, hey, Jeff, we want you to go in this direction?
Well, it's the people, it's the council, it's the city manager, and everybody else, kind of the structure of our home rule city. Mm-hmm. So, you know, we've just been catching him up on things. You know, I mean, he's been studying, you know, for the last couple months while he was moving here. But, you know, we're growing. Let's find a way to yes. Yes is not always the answer that we can get to, but let's find a way to yes. Let's figure out how to streamline some things. Let's look for some more efficiencies, especially when dealing with the public, whether it's, you know, a permitting issue or a zoning issue or something. Let's help people get to yes and find things that make sense, instead of saying, you know, that's not the way we've done it. That's not, you know, here's why we don't do that. We don't want to. We don't want to hear that. No, unfortunately, sometimes is the answer. But let's try.
Right, exactly. The fact is, no is much different than no, but here's why.
Yeah, and here's why.
And give somebody a logical explanation of why.
Right.
Because there are a lot of times that people don't realize that are not been involved in like a city government or something like that, is there are laws out there that there are things that are so stupid logical that you ought to be doing, but you can't do them because it's against code.
Right.
It's against the law.
Or it comes from the feds, you know, where it has to do with the floodplain or flood zone. It comes with, you know, why can't my building be there? You know, well, you know, because then we lose our FEMA accreditation. You know, we're in danger of everybody's flood insurance goes up because your building is sitting there and FEMA takes that away, or they just won't let us, you know, have flood insurance. Anyway, we have those issues that come up where people have buildings in the wrong place. But to find efficiencies in government, it's not Doge. It's not, you know, we look for those things all the time, you know, to be able to cut the waste and the abuse. But to find those efficiencies and you know, one thing that I really didn't have to talk to him about, he talked to me about, is being in the community, being involved. not just going to NJEB graduation and a chamber lunch, you know, being involved, whether it's a civic club, showing up and doing shows like this. He's done several interviews. He's available to talk to people and to get to know them. So it's not really a listening tour, but it's just how he is. I think just wants to hear.
Well, no, that's
what's
good
going
that
on.
it's inherent in their personality. It's that's kind of what you do when you hire. Well, at least when I hire, I'm hiring the personality as much as I am about their technical skills. In fact, in some cases, their technical skills, I can train that, but I can't train your attitude.
You can't train
and your
personality.
caring and what's in your heart. So
he's administratively solid. I mean, you know, on those things, obviously there's things that are different and a much bigger scale here to catch up on. But you know, it's just nice to for him to be as involved as he already is. I've been to 2 or 3 things this week and turned around and he was there. Yeah. I mean, you know, a change of command yesterday at Shepherd, you know, and just things like that. And you look around and there's Jeff. Yeah. You know, meeting people and he knows he's off to a good start. We'll see, 3 weeks and 4 or 5 days. So
well, and he also has good staff. There's good staff down there. There are some people that have been at the city for quite some time. Sure. Now, there's good and bad to that. Yeah. Sometimes it is good to have that institutional long-term knowledge, as long as they're willing to adapt to the new leadership.
Yes.
Yeah. But I know that there's a mix of that, and so that's good. He's not walking in and you're not handing him all the keys and saying, here you go, figure it out. No. It's here's a staff of people who are professionals who have been doing this, who can help you get to your figure out point.
Right. Here's a team. And I'm so proud of our staff. I'm so proud of the folks down there. They're such an easy target, you know. Well, yeah. It's just so easy, and I've seen that the last couple of years. But, boy, just to be a team, you know, it was some people had their entire career with our former city manager. You know, was a good guy, was here, you know, for a long time. They didn't know what it was like to work with anybody else. So, you know, there was some anxiety, but I believe we worked through all of that because they know that we've got their back, and we're all trying to do the same thing. They live here too. Yep. They need the ordinances and the things to make sense because they live here, their families live here. And, you know, we're all going in the same direction.
Yeah, but any large organization, even a small organization like our office or our store here, nothing is perfect, and nor should you even. I mean, I guess it's a kind of a two-sided coin there of how to approach it. But you want to be perfect, but you know you can't necessarily because number one, it takes too long, and everything doesn't need to be perfect. Not everything it can be good enough sometimes. Right. But there are other times so you focus in on things that you can do, right? Not what you can't do. Right. And it's just because you can't do everything.
No, you do your best with what you've got. And don't let good be the enemy of perfect. Right. You know, I mean, or perfect be the enemy of good. You know, sometimes, but I think it's your intention. And just trying to help folks do the best that they can. And just, boy, being more efficient.
The customer
is a welcome
thing.
thing. Yeah,
I mean,
that's
and it's not.
And we don't always get it right.
It's not, but the reason, it's not because people are bad. Right. It's because it is kind of human nature. If you are in a position, your business that you make money. Sure. Yeah. There's a lot of insurance agents out there. Right. And so if you don't treat your customers with the white glove experience, it's pretty easy to pick up the phone and go to another insurance agent. Right. If you need a permit, you can't pick up the phone and go get a permit from anybody else. And unfortunately,
or the water. You can't get the water anywhere.
Unfortunately, sometimes those people that are in those positions over a period of time, they lose focus of that. And it's not because they're inherently bad. It's just, you know, it's kind of a complacency.
Right.
And it's human nature to be complacent. So I'm not demeaning the people, but it's like everybody. We all need a little bit of a kick in the shorts at times and just a reminder that why we're here and who's paying our bills.
Right. And, you know, I see it as you try to catch people doing something right.
Exactly.
You know, city staff, whomever, permits, you know, whoever it is, you just try to catch them doing things right. An attaboy helps a lot. You know, everybody needs that pat on the back. It's hard work, and sometimes it doesn't make sense, and sometimes it's harder to make it make sense to
Right.
to a person that's trying to get it done. So,
Right, and I think it's a spirit of education too, because
Yes.
because of what we were talking about, there's a reason why
Right.
you can't do it that way,
huge.
and we want to help you, and it I guess it sometimes feels or has felt in the past that, well, no, it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Not a reason why. No, well, there is this code, and people don't understand code, right? Well, what does that mean? Well, it's really not a code until it's been adopted. Yes, it's a publication that's put out there, and see, maybe that's what we need to do is have somebody on that can talk about that. Like an education is the key, though. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
So.
There's a lot, and there's a lot of education that goes into it, and you can't educate everybody. A lot of transparency is one thing that we've really worked hard on in the last couple of years. Is let's be transparent. A lot of open meetings. Our budget meetings are open. We talk about that stuff. We answer those questions. All of the collective bargaining, all of the things with the fire department, all of that was all open. It was on Facebook. I mean, it was just like this. There's mics in there. People can watch it and see what's going. They can attend it in public, ask questions. Not everybody's comfortable doing that, so they catch us in the hallway or they email or text, or that's great. Just providing the information that people want. Not that we just go the extra mile to be transparent with that.
Well, it gives them a jumping off point too.
Yeah.
Okay, so switching gears here, what's new or what's coming up in Wichita Falls?
There's always so many things I can't talk about.
Right,
right. And that's unfortunate.
We understand that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a tremendous end to the summer, a tremendous fall with some announcements that are coming. We've talked before about the records that are set here with the growth and with the spending and with the money, not the spending. With the
you're talking about the money coming in.
The money coming in.
Yeah.
So we had $1.2 billion in the last 13 months that spent in Wichita Falls, Texas. So
people gloss over $1 billion like it's a nothing.
It's never happened here.
That's huge. And Wichita Falls has been around for over 100 years.
100 years.
And it's never happened.
No,
before.
it's never happened. That's a record. It's a record that we will shatter this fall. So, but people go, well, that sounds great. Where is it? I still have a pothole on my street. Well, it didn't account for that. But have you driven by? The walls are up at Winco. This gigantic grocery store that's going over there off of Kemp. And the walls are up at Amazon. Mm-hmm. If you've driven by over there in the business park, our business park is full. We have to find another one. That was a $10 million investment in like 2018.
Yeah.
That was 500 or 600 acres. It's full. Now people don't they don't grasp that.
And that's business. Then also, and none of that's a nonprofit, right? There's every one of those, and maybe some had some abatements maybe for a little bit, but otherwise that's bringing income into the city.
Neither one of those two that I talked about, received any help like that. So, we have businesses that are coming here that want to be here. The Westlake Pipe that's out on Olao Park Road back there, that the old Am Pipe. Well, they had a choice between going to Arizona or staying here for this expansion. It's $100 million expansion plus that's going in over there right now. They can see plus the jobs, plus what they're hiring. So there are a lot of good things. There's a lot of good jobs that are here that are coming. So we're starting to see the fruits of those labors develop. Even some of it moving at the speed of government, unfortunately.
Speed of smell.
You almost try to get out of the way on some of those things.
Let me ask you, has the city? I'm sure y'all had discussions with all these new businesses coming in as people.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because there's only so many people who live here now or in this. When I say live here, they don't. You can. I mean, I don't live in town. Mike came from Burke Burnett, or lived from Burke Burnett. Right. Terry lives in Clay County. I live in Clay County, but we work here every day.
Right.
But so you could commute a little bit, but you're not going to expect people to commute from Fort Worth to here. Mm-hmm. So what is the plan, or is there a plan to try to be sure that we have enough people here, so we're not just shuffling? Terry's going to pay somebody something, so I go, I need extra people, so I'm going to pay $1 an hour, so I'm going to rob Terry's people, and then Terry has nothing. We don't need that.
Right, and trying to be ahead of that curve and trying to be ahead of those things. One thing is our housing inventory, trying to catch up on the housing inventory. If we had a manufacturer, we had a business come in here tomorrow, and they brought 1,500 employees, where would we put them?
Yeah.
So are we
You
that?
know.
So what? Do we have some number? Do you have some statistics?
No.
No. Okay.
None that I'm willing to discuss.
No.
But
No, it's
we-
about
if-
housing.
if-
No. How?
housing.
What's our
Just the housing
availability and all
inventory.
that?
If that were to happen, you
Right.
know, it would be difficult, and some of them, you know, would have to live in Burke. Some of them would have to live in Holiday. Some of them, you know,
Right.
it would help the entire area. But
Right.
you know, so those things are being addressed. There are national home builders that have been in, you know, that do those things specifically.
Right.
You know, without hurting or impeding our local home builders necessarily. That's not, you know, what they do. They
Right.
build custom homes. They build, you know, 10 houses a year. Well, we need 200 houses in 6 months.
Right.
You know, they
We
Tinker
don't.
Trail. If you'd seen what's going on out there, I think they built 17 new houses on that block. They're all sold.
Okay.
I mean, before they were finished, and they're all $150,000
I was going to say
houses.
reasonable price houses. We're not talking about custom homes.
They're
With,
nice, and they're
Yeah.
and they're not cookie cutter, and they're first homes for people. You know,
Right.
that's starter homes for people, but they're nice.
Yeah.
You know, granite counters and good builders.
I don't
that
even
did
have
that.
granite counters.
I
But,
know,
oh well.
it's not, you know. Hey, so we're, you know, that's a first home nowadays. So
Yeah.
those things are happening. So they come in, they try to find the land, you know. So those talks are ongoing as to what to do that, where those people want to go. Now, this is Friday, Monday night, and Tuesday spent with a developer that came from out of town, who will remain nameless, that specifically wanted to see the schools. You know, brick by brick, they're the same school. So a school wanted to tour, wanted to go through, wanted to see because they say a community that'll invest in their kids and their future like that, they want to be a bigger part of. They've already dipped their toe in the water here, and they want a bigger footprint, if I can say that, as far as the potential of entertainment venues and things to do here. So it was very exciting. It was very productive. So what people don't see is the making of the sausage, what goes on behind that curtain. When these folks actually come to town, they want to they walk around downtown. They want to go to the coffee shop. They eat lunch. They go to dinner. They want to talk to people that are there, and they want to see our infrastructure and see those things and see what kind of support is available to help them accomplish their goals. And it works.
yeah.
It's work. Sometimes it's a little slow. You know, inflation hurts with interest rates, with things. Some of these projects are really big, and that slows them down. But we're on a lot of people's radar that we haven't been in a long time. That's why I know of some things that are closing this fall that'll be mind-blowing.
Yeah.
If I can
Good.
say
Well,
that
what's the latest on any additional, as far as data centers? Because there's the one up in anything you
Okay.
can talk about.
Yeah, anything you can talk about.
But can you? Yeah,
If
is
you,
there?
if you can talk about anything.
Yeah.
in the data centers.
Yeah, just curious.
So it sounds like not. Okay, moving on.
No.
Fourth in the Falls.
Yeah.
That's coming up.
Yeah.
And that's going to happen next week. While you're here, I was going to just bring this up in a
bring it up.
local happening.
It's going to be great.
So this is it. Festival Park.
Yeah.
Which most people don't know. Festival Park. There's that little area between the Impact and the KY, and that's called Festival Park.
Right. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Trees for shade. I mean, there's
And
everything.
it's between
Yeah.
it's like a triangle. It's
Right.
the rivers right there, and then the two buildings right here.
Yeah, it's not hard to find.
Yeah.
Follow the people.
Follow the people.
Right.
So, but that's going to be happening. It's going to be 5 o'clock. There's going to have the Freedom Fest is going to kick off. The Battle of the Bands begin at KY at 6:30. The national anthem and the Sheppard Air Force Base flyover. And 6:45 co-headliner King George, which is a George Strait tribute band.
Yeah.
And then 8 o'clock, Terry, you'll want to go here. This is Reputation, a Taylor Swift tribute band.
Oh, there's a what?
My daughter-in-law will be there.
Yeah.
I
What?
guarantee
There's
it.
a Taylor Swift. Well, she's a lot. Oh, anyway. never
Taylor
mind.
Swift tribute. Well, you don't have to be
Well, I
dead
guess-
to be a tribute band.
Well, I guess that's
They
true. but
just sing. Yeah, they
Okay.
sing their songs.
It
and
will
stuff.
be fantastic.
Oh no,
And at
it's
9:45,
interesting.
they're going to shoot the fireworks off.
Yes.
Which I think that's a little later than it has been, which is smart. Because it's getting, in the past, the last 2 or 3 years, it's like you're shooting fireworks off and it's still twilight.
It's not quite dark. Yeah.
So
We're waiting for dark.
I got a question for you.
Yes, okay.
So, obviously the city's the center of making this happen, right? So, so your city
Yeah.
in Wichita Falls
Right.
is making this happen.
Absolutely. Along with Shepherd Air Force
Right.
Base.
Well, along with
It's
Shepherd,
it's a
yeah.
combined
Oh,
effort.
yeah.
It was on Shepherd.
Right.
Yeah,
It used to
before,
be
right.
right.
How hard it was to get on.
Right.
Right.
This
There
is
used to be
easy.
they used to be at one time there was a back and forth like
Yeah.
Shepherd do it one year, City do it one year,
Yeah.
Shepherd do it. But I think
Logistics
it's much better
are-
to do this.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's packed. It was packed last year. We had the AC/DC band there, and it was incredible. It was
The AC/DC
packed.
tribute band.
Tribute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I saw AC/DC.
Although-
I saw the real AC/DC April 15th
Yeah.
this year.
Well, I heard ZZ Top's on the way
Brian Johnson
again.
was not here in Wichita Falls
Yeah.
at the Freedom
No,
Fest thing.
no.
So
Yeah, but
They're
Angus Young.
fantastic.
yeah.
Yeah.
So cool.
they got to take a hit off their Metamucil before they. That's the problem with going to one of those
No, no.
old time rock and roll bands in the crowd where people used to pass around other things. Now they're passing around Metamucil. Here, take a hit.
I saw them live a couple months ago in Dallas at American Airlines. 60,000 people in there
Yeah.
with the real AC/DC. The only stand-in was the bass player, and they went 2.5 hours. They did not mail it in. It was the biggest bucket list ever, and we had a blast.
I've seen AC/DC at Reunion Arena.
Oh my
Down
God.
there, back when the old Reunion Arena was before the AAC years
Yeah.
ago. That was in the 80s.
I hear great things about both of these, about
Yeah.
the George Strait band and the Taylor Swift tribute's going to be awesome. My daughter-in-law is a Swiftie, so
Oh, okay.
it's going to be incredible. So we're looking
right.
for that. That's not why we got this band, by the way.
Yeah.
Not because of
Oh,
Yeah.
well, all right. Hey, real quick, I
Now
just
we know
wanted
the
to
answer.
say there's Micah has chimed in because we can do live
Yes,
stream.
yeah.
Anyway, she's
Which is
saying,
terrifying.
"Hi, Mr. Short,"
Hi.
and so she's saying hello.
Okay. Hello, Mike. Good to hear from you. Yes.
What was there anything else you want to wrap up with this?
You know, I want, if it's okay, I talk about Mike for a second.
Absolutely.
You know, I can't be here without that. I love that guy. I miss him, and I know we all do.
Yeah.
You know, I was just as shocked as everybody. I can still hear that laugh. You know, but I was involved with 1290 on that show just like you guys were.
I know.
I sponsored and sponsored and sponsored for 20 years. We had great conversations. I've read through my text messages, and some of them are hysterical. I texted him a lot during the show, you know, and he was a good friend that I ran a lot of things by. He was a trusted friend that I could run things by. I've told the story a lot where, you know, December of 2023, when I finally was making my decision that I was going to run, I had a list and with my yellow pad out, and I ended up calling 57 people, and I would just say, hey, you know, this is Tim, friends of mine, you know, people I know. Hey, this is Tim. I'm putting together a run for mayor. Talk me out of it. And I would just shut up, and I would just write down what they said. Well, nobody talked me out of it, but you know, he paused for a second. And he said, have you lost your damn mind? So, and then we laughed, and he said, hey, and we're on the phone. And he says, hey, are you okay if is somebody forcing you to do this? If they are, blink twice. You know. And I said, Mike, we're on the phone.
Yeah.
You know? And so we started laughing. He said, no. He said, this is great. I'm going to give you two pieces of advice. His advice and his opinions flowed freely, you know. As
Whoa,
we
I'm
all
glad I'm
know.
sitting down, boy. The room was fitting that Mike had an opinion about something.
As we all know.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I wanted that unvarnished
Absolutely,
opinion.
yeah.
And these
They were
opinions,
valued
They
opinions.
will shock you.
Most of the time.
What he said will shock you. Beware of the cave people, citizens against virtually everything,
Yep.
and get off social media. And those were the two things, you know. So I listened to the first one. I haven't quite, you know, made good on the second one yet, but I appreciated him, so I promised him, and I did it. You know, the day after I announced his radio show, he was still doing the radio show,
Yep.
and that was the first place, you know, that I went that next morning. Was the first guest on this podcast
Yep.
when you guys started that. I told him when he asked me about coming on here, I'd watched a couple of them, and I said, okay, but it looks like a hostage video. I said, I we have to figure out, how to change this set. We need a little production value. So I think that all got fixed, and we had a good time with that. But he was a good friend. He was a good man. He loved John Wayne. He loved Texas. He loved the United States. I thought that it was fitting that his service was on Flag Day, and I would say, God bless you, my friend.
Yeah.
I miss you, and it was my honor to know you. Yeah. So thank you guys for giving me a chance.
Well, thank you, and thank you for that.
Well, and this is an honor to him for you to be here and continue to do this. So I certainly want to thank you for that. So
wonderful.
All right. Well, so we're
going to take a quick break here.
Yeah, except that I don't.
Dry my eyes.
Yeah, I guess we may just have to do it live here. But if you're gonna, we're gonna continue. If you want to stay, you're more than welcome. We just got a few more minutes, and then, then we can.
You want to stay in while we roll?
Yeah,
Okay.
Let's
until I go to my real job.
Okay.
Yeah, until you,
all right. Well, we're going to do. Of course, today's guest, local restaurant focus.
Yes.
McBride's Land and Cattle. Downtown Wichita Falls has been a staple since the 60s, probably, when that building was built.
Man.
I think they have the best steaks in the area. And I honestly believe that their steaks rival. I've been to Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. I've been to Saltgrass. I've been all over. And by the way, Ruth's Chris ain't worth it. No, it's not worth the price you pay. It's a good steak. It's not like it's a crap steak.
Right.
It's a good steak. But it's not worth the price you pay.
And good service.
And it's good service.
Yeah.
But the fact is, McBride's Land and Cattle, McBride's downtown, has been there so long that pit is so seasoned. And I think that's part of the magic there is the flavor that comes off that pit. But if you want a good steak here in Wichita Falls, that is the place to go.
It's delicious. And the best part about it's pretty dark in there.
Yeah.
So you can cut, at lunch.
Yeah.
So, it's a good place to go have lunch with folks that, unfortunately not everybody wants to be seen with me.
Yeah.
But we'll go to lunch and I'll say, well, I know where we're going.
Yeah.
We're going to I'll buy you lunch and we'll go to McBride's downtown. So, yeah.
So they're on the corner of Scott and 5th.
Delicious.
Yeah, right there. And so if you get a chance, go check them out. They're online. You can look at their website. Their menu will come up and all that. And just a great place.
Yep. Well, cool. All right. Well, then let's see. What else? Tomorrow. That would be Saturday.
Saturday the 28th.
The 28th. We have the Evening of Improv will bring a fast-paced, unscripted comedy to the Backdoor Theater's main stage. Each show is unique and enjoyable and priced at, $12?
$12.
That's a bargain. I mean, I will say this, that I've been to the Improv in Dallas. Not now. There is 4-day weekend, by the way. If you've ever gone to those guys are like top-notch, fun, really awesome, great. But our troupe here is better than what I've seen. Other than, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
And I've been to several in Dallas, and they've got a much larger pool.
Sure.
And so
you're an improv guy.
Yes, I have not performed with the troupe in a couple of years. I just don't have time.
Yeah.
I love it. I enjoyed it, and I was part of the improv troupe. I guess you're kind of always part of it.
Yeah.
I'm still part of the improv troupe, but I haven't performed in a couple of years. I haven't had time.
Do you know is Michael Mitchell going to be in it this time?
I don't know who all's going to be in it.
We don't know.
Michael Mitchell's part of it.
Jenica,
Lambert,
Jessica,
yeah.
and so a lot of known, and again, these guys are just, they practice and is no.
In practice, it's a straight. Let me kind of clarify this. It's like whose line is it anyway?
Yeah.
And you do rehearsals, and people say rehearsal. Well, how's it improv? It's a rehearsal. You're not rehearsing the material. You're rehearsing the format.
Right.
You're rehearsing the technique. There's techniques. The yes and but. Therefore, you never say when somebody asks you a question on an improv stage, you never say no.
Right.
Or yes. You say yes and.
Yep.
Or but. Therefore, there's techniques that you have to learn to keep it going because you don't know what the material is. So, but when they get up there, they do not know the material. Just so you know, they know the game. They know the pace of the pace of the game. We call them games. The pace of the game. They know techniques of trying to draw it out of people and stuff like that. And part of that is just performing with people.
Yeah.
You perform with people. You kind of know what they're
right.
You learn their idiosyncrasies. You kind of learn which direction they're going to go. You kind of all that sort of thing. But as far as the improv itself, it is absolutely, I promise you, pure improv.
And-
nobody knows ahead of time what's going to be
And
talked about.
sometimes
like this.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's
Except you two have scripts.
That- we
well,
got a piece of
yeah, we've got cheat, but a little bit of cheat sheet there. But yeah, it is funny though. It's sometimes they land,
Yeah.
and sometimes the fact that they hit hard, flat, upside down. It wasn't funny, the thing, but the reaction afterwards is what's funny.
I'm gonna tell you, there's times that every once in a while, especially on Scenes from a Hat or something Scenes from a Hat, or where it's basically they say a topic and you go up and say like a 3 to 5 word thing. You'll go up there and go, "Oh, this is gonna kill," and you say something and crickets, and you go, "Damn, that sounded a lot better in my head than it did here."
That's right. So
So,
all right,
Like this.
Exactly.
Cool.
Exactly.
all right.
Well, moving on to news here.
Yeah.
Of course, U.S. attack. We have not been on since the U.S. has attacked Iran's nuclear facilities.
Right. We
That happened last Saturday, the
last-
day after our
yep.
last program.
And I'll tell you, the air crews. I mean, of course, I've never been on an air crew, but I have been as part of a maintenance organization. Of course, that's what I did. Is I fixed the avionics. And but again, I also have never been at a base that actually launched. But I still feel pride in the fact that I know people who did fix that airplane to make sure that it's good, that it traveled 36 hours or whatever it was. And of course, a little bit of misdirection going one way. And
that
then,
was I found fascinating.
yeah.
And I love that. If you didn't get a chance, it's on YouTube.
Yeah.
Go and look at. Of course, Trump with Hegseth and Rubio had like a little quick statement the day of, but the next morning, Pete Hegseth and General Raising Cane were on, and they talked about it operationally. Hegseth was kind of just, we're proud of everybody, blah, 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 that sort of stuff that he should say. But Cane actually got into very specific,
He did.
relatively specific details. They're not going to tell you everything, and they don't need to.
No.
Right.
But very specific details about, we sent some planes this direction, then we sent planes this direction, and then we did this, and we launched these missiles. And it's amazing the coordination and all the people that it takes to do it. Like Terry said, yes, you have those pilots, and that is awesome. But you had somebody that loaded those bombs. You had somebody that made that airplane work. You had somebody that worked on the guidance systems.
Refueling.
Refueling, yes.
And guess what? It's not unlikely that some of the crew and the maintenance people went through Shepherd Air Force Base and for their initial training, and then actually were on that. So this place has a huge huge role in protecting our nation.
Mission ready
that's right.
For this.
50% of the Air Force comes through Shepherd every year.
Yep.
65,000 of them come through here.
Right. And
every
again,
year.
not to take anything away from the pilots, but they get all the glory when it comes to all the publicity here. Those maintainers have their role, and they're just as important as those pilots are. So
I used to say this, and I used to say this a bunch, and I actually said it when I was school board president and addressed people at convocation. I would say, teachers, we all know you're the rock stars. The reason everybody's here to support, and we know that you're the face of the district. You're in the classrooms and all that. But when the first person that shows up at the school in the morning flushes the toilet and it comes back out the other direction, it ain't the teachers out there cleaning it up.
Right.
It's maintenance crew. And by the way, it may be an air conditioner guy. It may be a electrician, like these licensed people. It could be just a regular Gensel who just got to work there. And everybody shows up and takes care of business. Right. And it's kind of like that. It's a team effort.
Right.
You do have the people that are the face of it or the rock stars, but every group like that has this whole team underneath them that's supporting them, because otherwise you can't float by yourself. No. It's on the foundation of people.
No. Very proud.
So awesome. So, and then what else? We got commitments from all NATO countries except Spain to contribute 5% GDP. So each country has now pledged, except Spain that they're going to take 5% of their gross domestic product and invest it in a way into NATO, which is something that when Trump came in the first time, if I recall correctly, they weren't contributing anywhere near, and then we were providing the vast majority of that.
Just to get them to 2%.
Right. And
now we're at 5.
Right. So I think that's awesome.
And what the hell, Spain? Seriously, what the hell? The fact of the matter is, Spain, you don't want to do this because the last thing you want is somebody knocking on your door. This is, and we've gone over this topic a number of times. and actually brought in some research one time and looked at the commitments of military spend that the United States does. My wife's from Europe.
Yeah.
I've traveled in Europe extensively. I have family that lives in Europe. Okay. What a lot of them do not understand is you have the social programs that you have because you have the United States that is an ally.
Right.
Because you could not afford to spend as much money on your social welfare programs as if the United States wasn't spending it on. If you were on your own and you had to defend yourself, I mean, the fact of the matter is Norway's a great place. Denmark's a great place. England's a great place. None of those places by themselves could stand up to China or Russia. No, they'd be over in 2 seconds. So what I used to basically say was, just say thank you and shut the hell up.
Yeah.
You know, pay your part and say thank
part.
you. But that's when I get a little torqued when I start hearing press from other countries that are demeaning America. It's like, hang on, don't slap the person who's helping pay your bills or keeping you safe.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, the other thing was that U.S. brokered a ceasefire between Israel and Iran. And here's the thing, though.
It's holding right now.
Yeah, but it was a little bit of a little bit of
at the beginning.
Yeah, but they did say, now let me if I remember correctly, Israel had agreed to go ahead and do it. However, they already had some things in motion. So I don't know. I guess it was that last hour or something they continued to do it. And of course, then Iran had to respond and a little spat and whatever. But of course, time will tell. Yeah. This isn't something that we're hopeful.
I think it was odd where they did it, but they said it starts in 12 hours.
Right.
So
smoke them if you got them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No,
I think they did.
Yeah, they did, and that was. And I will say, you very rarely see Donald Trump get animated. Yeah. He got animated.
Oh yeah, he little F-bomb.
Turn the planes around.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's very unusual. But this ceasefire is a great thing if it holds, and it's U.S. and Qatar has been or Qatar, however you want to say it, have been a huge part of this ceasefire here.
Right.
So,
all right.
You let's skip the data
Go ahead.
centers because it could be any time.
Yeah.
Do you want to do the Army vet?
So this is an interesting situation. It's NPR reporting that a vet who is a Purple Heart recipient, Army vet,
which means he was injured in combat,
and he was is it South Korea? Right, I believe he's from South Korea. So he's natively he came over the U.S. with his mother, I think. And I don't think both parents were involved, but anyway, I couldn't remember all that. But
he came over illegally.
No, he came legally. He came legally. No, here's what happened. He came legally, but he ended up on a green card.
Right.
And so he was working. He was able to enlist in the Army, and his first year, I think, was within a year, and he got injured in an attack of some sort. And so he then was medically released, but then he got a Purple Heart. Well, after all that, the PTSD and all that happened.
When he got on drugs is when
he ended up getting that's what being on a green card. Of course, my first thought was, well, he's had this long to get his citizenship, and then I read the whole story, and I realized, oh wow, okay. So I mean, think about it. So typically, if you're in the military, you get your first 4 years. If you're not from the U.S., if you're not a U.S. citizen, I think 4 years they'll let you do it, and then they will assist in getting you an accelerated path. Correct. Because you're serving in the military. They'll get you an accelerated path to citizenship, which I think is perfectly fair. Great. And so anyway, he didn't get to do that, and so he ended up injured, and I'm sure that was pretty traumatic. And of course, every situation. I mean, there's still some. You still have to own it, right? I mean,
he went to prison.
Right. He ended up going to prison, and so now he's actually voluntarily now. So I got to give this guy credit, and he didn't seem the whole article I read did not seem he was like, oh, woe is me. Mm-hmm. He was taking responsibility. He's having to leave his son here, and he raised the son apparently all good and all that. But he had a lot of challenges, and now he's self-deporting under that program that Trump and Noem, I guess, or what, Kristi Noem?
Kristi Noem.
Okay. And so anyway, he's following that. So but he's got a record. He spent time in prison. So I just brought that up because it's like, man, that's one of those difficult things about doing a blanket. We're going to send everybody back. Right. And as much as we want to agree, I think politically with the president and all that, I think there needs to be something to consider here. I mean, he only did a year, but gosh, in a year, he was exposed to some things that 20 years, I never did that.
He did a year, but I agree. I think that what happens, and he may have self-deported because that's what they say. If you self-deport,
right? He has some.
You have a path.
But he has a record, though.
Yeah,
so
but there may be some exceptions.
That's what I'm saying. I think he needs to, even if he has.
I hope in this position, yes. The whole thing is the whole blanket deal, and we could spend hours talking about immigration.
Oh yeah.
The fact of the matter is, I think if people were brought here as children, they should not be deported.
I think there needs to be certainly consideration for that.
If they were brought here as children, they had no choice.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so I think that's the case. I think if people have been here for 25, 20, 30 years and paid their taxes and done all that thing, I don't think they should be deported under this.
Right.
My whole thing is, if you've been here in the last, let's say, 10 years, if you've shown up in the last 10 years illegally, you ought to go back. Now, if you have no criminal record, you've been keeping your nose clean, I'm okay with you applying to come back here.
Right.
But you got to go back to your deal. And this crap about this due process, your due process is afforded to people that are in America legally. Now, you have human rights. In other words, nobody's going to pull a gun out and shoot you. Yeah. But theoretically, you don't deserve to have a day in court because the rules are, if you want to seek asylum in the United States, you must stop at the embassy that's either in your home country or the next country. Right. Well, your home country is Mexico if you're going from down south. And if you're from Honduras and Guatemala or wherever, you stop in Mexico. Right. So there is a pathway to do this legally. Yeah. And why I do have empathy. I have empathy for this guy. Looking back, and of course, we don't know the details. We don't know if
but
this is true. But taking this story on face value,
right?
Yes, I would hope that this man gets to come back to the States.
Being in PR and everything, and again, I was looking for that. I was looking for some bias in this, but no, I couldn't. I saw that.
You don't know if the facts were right.
Well, right, but
you don't know. We don't know.
No. But I'm just saying. But still, there tends to be an agenda that you can pick up in there, and he's not going woe as me.
I think. But so you just don't know. I'm gonna take the story on face value.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know if he was arrested one time. Was he arrested 20 times? Did they stare?
Right.
You just don't know. Has this guy been living peacefully? Or
right.
Has he been
so
I'm going to say he probably has, but I don't know for sure. And none of us know for sure.
Yeah.
We don't know the guy.
Well, this would be a kind of a case that I would see, given it on face value, that somebody should be considered, even though he has a record, because he did serve the country. He was put in a position that, unfortunately, he took a negative path, and so. But anyway, so that's only it got my attention. So
this is unintended consequence of a blanket action.
Right.
This is unintended consequence stuff. So
and unfortunately, the blanket action it needed to come in because of in the previous years.
Right.
Because when you had when you have 4 years of a blanket action of leaving the border wide open, which that was a blanket action.
Yeah.
Now you have to reverse that. And there are times
and it hurts.
There are a few people that are going to fall through the cracks. And what my hope is that the people that are in charge are smart enough to try to recognize when that happens and fix those problems.
Right. Yep. So, all right.
That's all we can do.
Cool. And there we go.
Yep. Well, thanks a lot for listening to Get It Right Texoma, and our sponsors are?
Mac Tech Solutions right here. It's where we are. We're in the studio that we have way back here, and it's really, I built this, by the way. I'll take a little bit of credit here. This was my COVID project. Oh, but the table, wait a minute, the podcast table was a joint effort, but he did all the labor for sure and helped. We got all this done. And
we took one of those tables and turned it into this.
Yep, we modified, and it's pretty cool. So, but other than that, Eddie Hill's Fun Cycles at 401 North Scott.
Downtown Wichita Falls since 1966.
Yeah, and they have mowers too. I got a Hustler mower.
And you better come and get them quick because we're getting really low on mowers this year.
Oh,
yeah, we're getting low.
He was servicing my mine, and he loaned me this really big one. and I'll tell you.
Loaned mine.
Oh, he is. Oh, he was okay. But anyway, yeah, I think it was a sales thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's my demo.
Yeah. Okay.
So, next year when Terry's grass gets yay high.
Yeah,
Terry,
well,
check this
it's
X1.
yay high now, but I have sharp blades and, and other things going on there. But anyway, so I guess we'll wrap it up.
Absolutely. Next week's guest is going to be
Jenica Lambert.
Yep. Riverbend Nature Center.
She's great.
Absolutely. Friend of the podcast, friend of the radio show, and everything like that.
Yep.
We want to thank our guest, Tim Short, Mayor Tim Short.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming in, talking Wichita Falls, and also giving us a little bit of perspective about Mike. And that was a really nice tribute, and I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah.
So hopefully I can wrap this up and do it, but we'll see you next week, 7:30.
Yeah.
No, wait a minute. No, not next week. No, we're gonna play it.
We're gonna play at 7:30.
We'll record it,
We're
but
gonna
it
record
won't
it on
be
the
live.
3rd, yeah.
We actually won't be live, but it'll be playing. We're gonna try to get on schedule and all of
It'll
that.
be recorded. It'll bring in at 7:30. Yeah.
Yes. So anyway, other than that, I guess we'll just wrap it up. And as our friend Mike Hendren would always say, would be,
We'll see you down the road.
we'll see you down the road. If I can figure out how to go the outro, there we go.
You'll make this rather snappy, won't you? I have some very heavy thinking to do before 10 o'clock.